Srivas Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 4. We are going to read from text 4 today. Did you remember any few points anyone wanted to say about yesterday?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yesterday we finished the chapter 3 and we read about like when Hiraṇyakaśipu, like when Brahmaji was asking him to ask some benediction, he is very happy. Then he asked like, if you want to give me some benediction, then please grant me like I not die within, like inside or outside, or during the daytime or at the night time, or not in the ground, not in the sky, and not killed by any demigods or demon, and not by living things or non-living things, like that. Yeah. And not in battlefield. And therefore, like Brahmaji said, like he was knowing like this is impossible, but he said like, okay, I will give you this benediction, but this is not going to be happen like this, he said.
He said you're not going to be happy with it.
Yeah, happy with it. Yeah, happy with it. Yeah, happy with it.
Yeah, because he said not even killed by any human being or any
animal. Yeah.
Animal,
or demigods,
any weapon,
or yes, weapons. So
or anyone created by you.
Yeah, so this was the chapter 3 we read, and chapter 4 maybe Sneha will explain a little bit. We started chapter 4.
Yeah, I think that's what even I remember. What you had mentioned, no? That's nice.
Yeah. And yeah, so now Brahmaji is gone, and we are going to see what happens now. Okay. So, evam labda varyodaityo.
Evam labda varodaityo.
Vibrad demammayam vapu.
Viprad
demammayam vapu.
Bhagavati akarodvesham.
Bhagavati
akarodvesham.
Bhratur vadam anusmaran.
Bhratur vardhanam anusmaram.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The demon Hiraṇyakaśipu, having thus been blessed by Lord Brahma and having acquired a lustrous golden body, continued to remember the death of his brother and therefore be envious of Lord Vishnu. A demoniac person, in spite of acquiring all the opulences possible to obtain in this universe, continues to be envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Hiraṇyakaśipu becomes the most powerful person other than Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. He's controlling everyone else. But in spite of that, he's still envious of God. Prabhupada is explaining. So someone may have everything and yet continue to be envious of God. And that is a demoniac mentality.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yeah, also like whatever the prayers he was offering to Lord Brahma, actually it's actually all his prayers are definitely it is actually describing the Supreme Lord, right, Krishna?
Yes, the Supreme Lord's, yes. His position as the Supreme Controller, cause of all causes.
Controller, like he said, he told him that you are Hiraṇyagarbha, Hiraṇyakaśipu, the reservoir of the universe. That,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. That's right. Yeah. So he's envious of God. He doesn't want to
Mm.
accept that it's actually God's glories. All these are God's glories. Sa vijitya disha sarva.
Sa vichitya disha sarva.
Shiva,
Lokams, lokams chatrin maha asura.
Lokam Satrin Mahasura.
Mahashura,
Devasur Manushyendra.
Devasur
Devasura
Manushindra,
Manushindra.
Gandharva Garudoragan.
Gandharva
Gandharva
Garudoragan,
Garudagan.
Siddhacharana Vidyadhran.
Siddhacharana
Siddhacharana
Vidyadran,
Vidyadran.
Rishin Pitripatin Manun.
Rishin Pitrapatin
Vidyapati Manu,
Manun.
Yaksha Raksha Pishache Shan.
Yaksha
Yaksha
Raksha
Raksha
Pishachesan.
Pishachen,
Preta Bhuta Patin Api.
Preta
Preta
Bhuta
Bhuta Patin
Patinapi,
Api.
Sarva Sattva Patinjitva.
Sarva
Sarva
Sattva
Sattva
Pati
Patin
Chitva,
Jitva.
Vasham Aniya Vishvajit.
Vasham
Vashamaniya
Aniya
Vishvajit,
Vishwajit.
Jahara Loka Palanam.
Jahara
Jahara
Loka Palana,
Lokapalanam.
Hanani Sahatejasa.
Sthanani
Sthanani
Sahati Jasa,
Sahatejasa.
Hiraṇyakāśipu became the conqueror of the entire universe. Indeed, that great demon conquered all the planets in the three worlds, upper, middle, and lower, including the planets of the human beings, the Gandharvas, the Garudas, the great serpents, the Siddhas, Charanas, Vidyadharas, the great saints, Yamraj, the Manus, the Yakshas, the Rakshasas, the Pishachas and their masters, and the masters of the ghosts and bhutas. He defeated the rulers of all the other planets where they are living entities and brought them under his control. Conquering the abodes of all, he seized their power and influence. The word Garuda in this verse indicates that they are planets of great birds like Garuda. Similarly, the word Uraga indicates that they are planets of enormous serpents. So Prabhupada is saying that this verse says that there's a planet where big, like Garuda is huge, no? It's very big, very big. So Prabhupada is saying there's a planet where such great birds live. Also, there's a planet where serpents live. We had read earlier also, then they have this jewels on their head, and that's how the planet gets so lit up with all the jewels. So we may think that there's no life on other planets, but there is. Different personalities living on different planets. Such a description of the various planets of the universe may challenge modern scientists who think that all planets but this Earth are vacant. These scientists claim to have launched excursions to the moon, where they have found no living entities, but only big craters full of dust and stone. Sorry. Although, in fact, the moon is so brilliant that it acts like the sun in illuminating the entire universe. Of course, it is not possible to convince modern scientists of the Vedic information about the universe. Nonetheless, we are not very much impressed by the words of scientists who say that all other planets are vacant and that only the Earth is full of living entities. But now I think, that this was before where people would think that there's no other life except on Earth. But now you can see people do accept, that there are living entities on other planets. There, you can see that currently, that the change happening, or the acceptance that yes, the life is not only on this earth but on other planets too.
But then there's
Devodhyana.
no entity, right? There's no living entity in the moon, right? Like with other personalities. Yes.
That's what the scientists are saying, but the Vedas are saying moon is a heavenly planet. So there's very beautiful people, living entities on the moon,
Mm.
because it's a heavenly planet. So there's more beauty there, much more than Earth. Devo Dhyana Shriyajushtam
Devo
Devo
Dhyana Shriya Justam
Adhyastes Adhyastes Matri Pishtapam
Adhyaste
Adhyastis
Matripistapam
Mahendra Bhavanam Sakshan
Mahendra
Bhavanam
Bhavanam
Sakshat
Sakshan
Nirmitam Vishvakarmana
Nirmitam
Nimitam
Vishwakarmana
Vishwakarmana
Trailokya Lakshmi Ayatanam
Trailokya Lakshmi
Trailokya Lakshmi
Ayatanam
Ayatanam
Adhyuvasa Khilardhe Mat
Adyuvasa Kilar
Satirmat
Timatam
Hiraṇyakaśipu, who possessed all opulence, began residing in heaven with its famous Nandana garden, which is enjoyed by the demigods. In fact, he resided in the most opulent palace of Indra, the king of heaven. The palace had been directly constructed by the demigod architect Vishwakarma, and was as beautifully made as if the goddess of fortune of the entire universe resided there. From this description, it appears that all the heavenly planets of the upper planetary system are thousands upon thousands of times more opulent than the lower planetary system in which we live. So the heavenly planets, there's more beauty, more opulent. That's why, the general people, there's a general tendency, oh, I want to go to heaven. Why? Because I can enjoy more. So Vishwakarma, the famous heavenly architect, is known as the constructor of many wonderful buildings in the upper planets, where they are not only beautiful buildings, but also many opulent gardens and parks, which are described as Nandana Devo Dhyana, gardens quite fit to be enjoyed by the demigods. So we have our architects in this world, in this earth, we have our architect. The demigods have their architect, and he's really famous. He's really good. His name is, what's his name?
Vishwakarma.
Yeah, Vishwakarma. I think the Rajasuya Assembly Hall was
Also,
designed by
yeah,
him, right?
Vishwakarma. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So he's really famous. So this description of the upper planetary system and its opulences is to be understood from authoritative scriptures like the Vedic literatures. Telescopes and the other imperfect instruments of scientists are inadequate for evaluating the upper planetary system. Although such instruments are needed because the vision of the so called scientist is imperfect, the instruments themselves are also imperfect. Therefore, the upper planets cannot be appraised by imperfect men using imperfect man made instruments. So, Prabhupada is saying, well, we are hearing here that the heavenly planets has more opulence. But then the scientists are telling us that, oh, we went to the moon and it's empty and nothing. So but Prabhupada is saying that even the telescopes that we are making, because we are imperfect, our gadgets are also imperfect. Can't see through, you know. Like he mentioned that the moon is so brilliant, is giving so much light. So how can be that why you go inside the moon and it's all dark, that there's no light at all, you know? So
So that
therefore the
means
upper
they didn't go to the
Hmm.
moon. They didn't reach that, like how
Yeah,
it
we
was
don't know,
mentioned
you know.
that Neil Armstrong, right? In the beginning, that they said that
Yeah,
he was the first, right, astrologer
yeah.
who went.
As not
He's
astrologer, what
sorry, he's the
astronomer, as first
uh,
person to land on the moon.
first person to land,
So
but yeah, but it was not true.
that's yeah, there's so
Mm,
much controversy regarding it. And Prabhupada would say in those times that even if they've gone to any other planet, they've probably reached a lower planet, you know,
mm,
reached not moon for sure. Maybe it's another. If they've
yeah,
actually gone to any planet, it's probably a lower planet.
yeah.
Mm. So direct information received from the Vedic literature, however, is perfect. We therefore cannot accept the statement that there are no opulent residences on planets other than this Earth. Actually, when this moon landing happened, um, my Amma used to say that also that no, they've not gone to the moon. Can't be, you know, because she also would read the Bhagavatam, my
Mm,
granny. Although she had not been like gotten any formal education, you know, not
yeah.
gone to school and all that, but she would read the Bhagavatam and she would say that no, they've not gone.
And then we would say, what? It's proven. I remember
Yeah.
that too, yeah.
So,
And
yatra vidruma sopana
yatra
Yatra
vidhuma
vidhuma
sopana
sopana
mahamara kata bhuva
Mahabharata
Harakata bhuva
yatra sphatika
Svat
kudyani
Yatra
yatra
Spatik
satika
Kunjani
Durya
ved Vaidurya stamba panktaya
Vedurya
Vaidurya Pankatya
yatra chitra vita nani
Yatrachit
Yatra
yatra
Chitra
chitra
Vitanani
padma ragasanani cha
Padma
Padmanabhasanani cha
payafena nibhashaya
Payapena
Payapena Nibhashaya
mukta dama parichadaha
Mukta
Mukta Dhamma Parishadaha
kujadbhet nupurer devya
Kunjadi
Kuja Videnu Puri Devya
shabda yantya itastatha
Shabda
Shabda
Shabdayantya itastata
Tata
ratna sthaleshu pashyanti
Ratnaste
ratnastana
Lushu Pashyanti
pashyanti
sudati sundaram mukham.
suddhati
Sudati Sundaram Mukham
Tasmin
Tasmin
Mahendra mm, Tasmin Mahendra Bhavane Mahabalo
Tasmit
Tasmin
Mahendra
Mahindra
bhava
Bhavane Mahabalo
Mahamana Nirjita Loka Ekarat.
Mahamana
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 Nirjit
Nirjita
Lok
Loka
Ekarat
Reme Bhivan Dyangri Yuga Suradhibe.
Rime Abhavin Ta
Sura.
Yuke
Rapta Piter Urjita Chanda Shasana.
Rapta
Pratapite Urjita Chanda
Chanda
Shasana.
The steps of King Indra's residence were made of coral. The floor was bedecked with invaluable emeralds. The walls were of crystal, and the columns of Vaidurya stone. The wonderful canopies were beautifully decorated. The seats were bedecked with rubies, and the silk bedding, as white as foam, was decorated with pearls. The ladies of the palace, who were blessed with beautiful teeth and the most wonderfully beautiful faces, walked here and there in the palace, their ankle bells tinkling melodiously, and saw their own beautiful reflections in the gems. The demigods, however, being very much oppressed, had to bow down and offer obeisances at the feet of Hiraṇyakaśipu, who chastised the demigods very severely and for no reason. Thus, Hiraṇyakaśipu lived in the palace and severely ruled everyone. Hiranyakashipu was so powerful in the heavenly planets that all the demigods, except Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu, were forced to engage in his service. Indeed, they were afraid of being severely punished if they disobeyed him. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti has compared Hiranyakashipu to Maharaj Vena, who was also atheistic and scornful of the ritualistic ceremonies mentioned in the Vedas. Yet Maharaj Vena was afraid of some of the great sages such as Bhrigu, whereas Hiranyakashipu ruled in such a way that everyone feared him but Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva. Hiranyakashipu was so alert against being burned to ashes by the anger of great sages like Bhrigu that by dint of austerity he surpassed their power and placed even them under his subordination. It appears that even in the higher planetary systems, to which people are promoted by pious activities, disturbances are created by asuras like Hiranyakashipu. No one in the three worlds can live in peace and prosperity without disturbance. So, what are a few things that come to your mind by reading this verse? Whatever we read.
Yeah, like the first thing, like if your devotion have, like, even it is material and full with selfishness, but you can please Brahmaji or Shivji, and you can take benediction, and you can get the position higher than demigods. The first thing in my mind.
Okay. Okay. All right.
And
anyone else? What else comes to your mind when you read this? Sneha? Anything? Well,
Then Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, they are the most powerful.
they are most powerful. Yes. Yes. That Hiranyakashipu can't control them. Yeah. And, when I was reading this, there's so much detail given about the palace. And this is Sukadev Goswami speaking about this palace. So this shows evidence that there are on heavenly planets, their residences are they're not made of stone, iron, cement like our construction is here. They're made of jewels and corals, and they're so beautiful. And there's pearls, and everyone there is very, very beautiful. So beautiful. They're saying the ladies, they're very beautiful faces. And then Prabhupada mentions that even you go to the heavenly planet, you still could have some demon troubling you. Because it's still in the material world. They are living in such luxury, so much opulence, and they have so much power, and yet they are being so troubled by Hiraṇyakaśipu.
So where is
Because
Indradev then?
he's also in one of the palaces. So there are many palaces, right? And Hiraṇyakaśipu is living in one of the palace, and the demigods are also in their palaces, but they're so afraid of him because he keeps shouting at them. They say that Hiraṇyakaśipu, he would
Hare
move his
Krishna.
eyebrows. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hiraṇyakashipu was after benediction. He stayed at heavenly planet.
Yes, he's
Oh,
staying
not
in
in the
Indra's
earth.
palace. No,
But it
no, he's
mentioned that
conquered them.
he resided in the palace of Indra,
Of Indra.
Indradev.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm wondering that. So that means Indradev had to leave his palace.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he probably left his palace and he's living in another palace because there's so many palaces there, right? So he has to leave his own palace. He's probably living somewhere else on the same planet as
But
Hiraṇyakashipu, and he's very afraid. Hmm?
but Prahlad Maharaj's story was like different. It was the earth related with the earth planet, right? So later
Let's
he
hear
came.
what's going to happen.
Okay,
Let's
okay,
hear what
maybe
happens
okay,
later.
okay.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
yeah. Let's hear what happens later. So this is of now. He's living in this palace, and the demigods are being so oppressed by him. He shouts at them. So even if one goes up to the heavenly planet, becomes a demigod, still there may be a demon who can come and create havoc in our lives. That's why, the Vedas keeps saying, Bhagavatam keeps saying, you go to the spiritual world. Don't even aspire to go to any heavenly planet, right? Because so much, we may think, oh, I'll become so beautiful, I'll become so opulent, and then there will be no suffering. There's no suffering then. But no, then suffering comes in another form, in another shape.
So there is threefold suffering even in the heavenly planets.
Threefold suffering. Yes. Yes, threefold. There's so much opulence that, like, our buildings are made of stone and cement. Their buildings are made of jewels, emeralds. So they're so opulent and they're so beautiful, but yet there is suffering there too. Tamangamatam madhunorugandina
Tamangamatam madhunoruganthina
Vivrittatam rakshamasheshadishnyapa
Vivritatam rakmam shesh dhinjnayapa
Upasatopayanapani-bhirvina
Upasatopani bhirvina
Tribhistapoyogabalaujasampadam
Tristapayogalojasampadam.
Oh, my dear king, Hiranyakashipu was always drunk on strong smelling wines and liquors, and therefore his coppery eyes were always rolling, nonetheless, because he had powerfully executed great austerities in mystic yoga. Although he was abominable, all but the three principal demigods, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu, personally worshipped him to please him by bringing him various presentations with their own hands. In the Skand Puran, there is a there is this description, Upayanam dadu sarve vina devan hiranyaka. Hiraṇyakaśipu was so powerful that everyone but the three principal demigods, namely Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu, engaged in his service. So all the demigods have become servant of Hiraṇyakaśipu, except, of course, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. Not them, but all the others. So there are 33 crore demigods. And, they're so, all these demigods now, they become his servants. Madhvacharya says, Aditya Vasavo, Rudra Srividahi Surayata. There are three kinds of demigods, the Adityas, the Vasus, and the Rudras. Beneath whom are the other demigods, like the Maruts, the Sadhyas, Marutas Cheva Vishve Cha Sadhyas Cheve Cha Tatkata. Therefore, all the demigods are called Tripishtapa. And the same word three applies to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu. So it seems there are different categories of demigods also. There are categories, it seems. Categories are Adityas, Vasus, and Rudras. And below them, there are other demigods Prabhupada is mentioning, like Maruts and Sadhyas. So we generally know them as demigods, but it seems there is some kind of a classification between them too. And then, of course, we know that the most powerful of them are Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Lord Vishnu, of course, he is not a demigod, he's God himself, but he's counted like, as that. Lord Vishnu is God himself. He's the Paramatma, no? The Shirodakshai Vishnu here in this universe. So they are becoming her servants now, even though they are so opulent and they have so much power, but he's become more powerful than them. As Prabhupada mentioned, that Veena was still at least afraid of those few of those great sages, and that's how they were able to kill him. But here, he's become even more powerful than all these great sages who have great powers. He's become so much more powerful that he's made everyone his servant now. So we can see what power can do to us. It's another thing we can see. So he's here, we can see he's not only drunk on alcohol, but he's also drunk on the power. Intoxication. Pride is a great intoxication. Then we don't know what we are doing. We don't realize how we are acting. Like a drunk man doesn't know how he's acting, right? Then pride makes us act that way too. We really don't know.
But it also says that Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu are giving him presents, like
Where does it say? Where? Here, at least in this verse, it said that all the demigods but the principal demigods.
Yeah, but then it seems that they give him also. Like, I mean, they are not afraid of him, of course, like, because he respects them. But they also like give him like gifts and
in
things.
The later verse. Oh, in the later verse.
Earlier, I think here it said somewhere we were reading. Maybe just the earlier.
No. Here it just keeps saying that all the demigods except the three were engaged in his service. That's what, at least in these verses. I'm not sure if you're reading the next verse. I haven't read the next verse. Is it the next verse that you're reading?
Actually, when we are reading, I think I read.
So it keeps saying but. So except. So when the word but is being used, means all the demigods except them. Here it said, although he was abominable.
Worship him. Now, see here. Personally worship him. Oh, okay. All but.
All but the three demigods, three principles.
Please him by bringing various presentations. their own heads.
Yeah.
Okay, so but okay,
Yeah.
all but the three principal demigods. Okay.
Yeah. So all the demigods except Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu were giving him gifts also
I
because
took
they're
it
afraid
the
of
other.
him.
Right.
Mm.
Okay.
They're afraid of him. So,
Yeah.
so we can see pride also, pride. That's why Lord Chaitanya says that we need to curb this pride, become more humble than a blade of grass, he says. Nishinga Maharaj always, when asked about humility, he says, our false ego right now, we think we are like 2 meters tall or whatever is our height, however tall we are in the body. We think that's our size, but actually what's our real size is 1/10,000, the tip of a hair. So that's our real size actually. Whereas we are thinking we are so great because of this body, but actually if we see what is our size, just 1/10,000, the tip of a hair. So we are insignificant. Yeah. So we'll stop here for today. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.